So whenever we have shallow, the bearing strata is available at a deeper depth as compared to a shallow depth. Then we use deep foundations. And as I've explained, the variants of the deep foundation, including a sheet pile, retaining wall, and piles. Only individual piles can also be used as a foundation system. Then there comes piles, the supporting a pile cap on which you can support a pier cap, uh, then pier cap, then the bridge deck. तो bridges जो होते हैं ज्यादातर वो if they are onto a river, अगर river के ऊपर piers हैं तो they can be supported onto a piles, then pile cap, then pier cap, and then bridge deck. Similar for other superstructures. अगर 15 story building है या 25 story building है, so it is always on to the piles most of the time. 90% cases, all the multi-story buildings are made upon piles and then pile cap, and then we have got the superstructure. Now classification of piles based on material or composition. The first one is timber piles, that is constituted out of tree trunks. Now you can see that we are using a term pile. So you know that piles should have very high axial strength. अगर उसमें जरा सी भी डिफॉर्मेशन आएगी तो वो फ्रैक्चर हो जाएगा, बीइंग टिम्बर. So it should be very high in strength, so it should be carved out of a very strong tree trunk. Well seasoned it should be there. Length should be around 4 to 6 meter, not more than that. Where good bearing stratum is available at a relatively shallow depth. तो 4 मीटर की जब हम बात कर रहे हैं वो पहले से ही पता चल गया, क्योंकि 4 मीटर is already coming into the category of shallow depth. Although it is relatively higher than shallow, क्योंकि shallow की category में it is from 2 to 2.5 meters. It starts varying from 1.5 meter to 2.5 meter. But 4 meter is very close to the surface, ground surface. That is why timber piles can be used there, जहाँ पे आपका सुपरस्ट्रक्चर का लोड भी कम है और स्ट्रैटम जो है वो 4 मीटर पे अवेलेबल है. टिम्बर पाइल ज्यादा डीप नहीं जा सकती. Then we have got concrete piles, which are of the two variants, which is precast and cast in situ. I presume that you know what is the meaning of the precast. Whenever some structure element is casted into a casting yard and that is brought into the site, that is called as precast element. And cast in situ, wherever we execute the construction at the site, that is called as cast in situ. So precast piles are cast, cured and casting yard, and they are actually being, as I've highlighted here, they are being used whenever the driving stresses are quite high. अगर आपको 10 से 15 मीटर ग्राउंड सरफेस से नीचे जाना है तो ड्राइविंग स्ट्रेसेस जो है वो बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाएंगे, हैवी हो जाएंगे, because it will be hammered from top and driving stresses are going to increase. So क्या होता है कि always precast elements जो होते हैं वो relatively stronger होते हैं in axial as well as in flexural loads, because they are well monitored. The quality is good enough as compared to cast in situ elements. So that is why they are being used in these special circumstances. To handling stresses, that is why it has been mentioned here, handling stresses along with working stresses. These piles are adequately, generally short lengths. Cast in situ piles are constructed by drilling hole into the ground and filling the concrete. after placing the reinforcement. This we know, we drill the hole. Sometimes you can use the SPT instrument also for drilling the hole, depending upon the diameter of the pile required. So after drilling the hole, you will concrete it, you will drop the reinforcement cage into the hole, and then you will fill it with the concrete of the required reinforced concrete grade. Then we have got steel piles. Steel piles are usually of edge section, or they are thick pipe section, that is circular section. सर्कुलर सेक्शन का मोमेंट ऑफ इनर्शिया भी अच्छा होता है. सो एंड as far as axial load is concerned, they are quite safe in axial load, और कॉर्नर स्ट्रेसेस उसमें नहीं होते हैं. दरवाजा बंद कर लो. So above that thick pipe section, hollow pipe section, there is some cap has to be provided, because otherwise what is going to happen, the soil is going to enter into that. So it can be of both type. Either you can restrict the entrance of the soil, and you cannot also, you can also allow the soil to pass through it. These are used in special circumstances of withstanding large impact stresses, because steel is very durable against impact load. The reason being, it is very ductile. So what happens, the suddenly whenever there is an increase in force, let us talk about axial force only. So if there is an increase of axial force, so the ductility of the structural steel does not let it to behave in a bad manner and lose its load bearing capacity. And wherever fewer disturbances from the driving is desired. Another property required, that is seepage barrier. If you are working onto the water conditions, so there also the structural steel is very safe as compared to timber and concrete, because it is highly corrosion resistant. So there the usage becomes dominant. Then the fourth one and the last one is composite piles, where it can be a combination of timber alone, it can be a combination of timber plus concrete, it can be a combination of concrete and steel. Dominantly these three combinations can be there. So composite piles are mainly used where a part of a pile is permanently under water. That means you are using two systems. Timber is inside and concrete is outside, or steel is inside and concrete is outside. Of any shape, let us say if you are provided edge section steel pile and it is covered with a circular cross section of the concrete. So if it, in case it is underwater, the concrete outside is going to resist the its curvature. The circular cross section is going to resist the forces which are coming due to the water, the lateral forces, and it is going to easily let the water pass through it. And the vertical cross section is taking the bearing vertical load from upside. So that this is another benefit of a composite section, that the material outside can resist the weathering condition outside, the adverse environmental conditions, along with giving the vertical strength to the pile also. Classification based on function. That is basically you can also say that it is how the load is being transferred. to the substrata. That is the classification based on the function. That is end bearing piles. End bearing piles, as you can see into the figure, actually it cannot be 100%, but we assume in end bearing piles that the tip of the pile is taking 100% load. So whatever axial load is coming from the superstructure, it is assumed to be taken by the pile tip 100%. Accordingly, we can design the cross section of the pile and the cross section of the pile tip. So, and from that only the length of the pile is also going to come out using the certain equations, which transfer the load to a hard or relatively incompressible stratum such as rock, and these piles derive the required bearing capacity from end bearing at tip of the pile. So when we find out the bearing capacity of a pile, of a single pile, let us say, so whatever is going to come out, the load carrying capacity of this particular pile at the bearing tip at the end, that will be considered as its bearing capacity. The skin friction is not going to be taken into consideration. Then we have got friction piles, which derive their bearing capacity from skin friction 100% entirely. So this is another variant जिसमें हम जो skin friction, जो frictional drag है in the opposite direction, you can see the arrow is in the opposite direction. These arrows are in the opposite direction. So you are pushing the pile down, and the soil is resisting the drag of the pile downward due to the frictional coefficient of that particular type of soil. So that coefficient of friction will decide that how much resistance it is going to have against the pile driving, and that will give the bearing capacity of that particular pile. It will not let the pile pass through the soil easily. So it will again vary depending upon the different types of soil. अगर क्ले है इजीली वो पास हो जाती है पाइल से, उसकी bearing capacity reduce हो जाएगी. Then we have got tension pile, where you can see here is the figure. So it is a kind of anchoring that we are trying to bring down the piles. We are trying to anchor them. We are trying to bring them down while the hydrostatic pressure from downside, let us say near the sea coast, if we are having a water table at a quite high level, or there are any other conditions where there is a hydrostatic pressure which is pushing the piles upside. So we are trying to bring it down. That is why you can see the arrow is being drawn downwards. So there is a force which is trying to drag it up, and there is a force which is trying to drag it down. That is why these piles are in tension. So that is why they are called as tension pile. Uplift piles, also called as uplift piles, because they are trying to uplift due to the hydrostatic forces acting onto them. And they are anchored down the structures. They are anchored, pulled down, not to let the uplift forces be dominant. And that is why they are subjected to uplift pressure. Then we have got compaction piles, which are being used for the purpose of compacting the strata beneath. So they are not actually load bearing piles. They have got only the purpose to compact the soil stratum beneath. So they can be of a lesser or let us say inferior material also. अगर आप M15 ग्रेड की पाइल भी यूज करते हो, it is okay, because उसका पर्पस डिफरेंट है. So these are used to compact loose granular soil to increase its bearing capacity. Now the this stratum in between the two piles, these stratum in between the two piles is going to have increased bearing capacity in case you have compacted them using a pile group. So that is their purpose. That is why they can be of an inferior material. Then we have got anchor piles. These piles are generally used to provide anchorage against horizontal pull from sheet piling. So this here we were anchoring actually. Here we were anchoring against the vertical pull in the tension pile. In anchor pile, we are anchoring against the horizontal pull depending upon the direction of the pull. From sheet piling. So sheet piling is what is sheet piling is going to do? Sheet piling is trying to retain the soil onto the left hand side of its own cross section, and anchor pile is trying to support the sheet pile by giving a resistance. Then we have got fender piles and dolphins that is usually used close to sea coast, and they are used to protect waterfront structures. Actually, waterfront structures, they are basically sometimes retaining walls at the sea coast or jetties at the sea coast. So whatever type of structure is there onto the sea coast, these type of piles are used to support these type of structures, not to let the direct impact of water onto these type of structures. So they are working as an in between barriers to these structures. Any floating object or ship. So this the pile has come into front as compared to this particular setup. This arrangement against water front, and these are the dolphin piles. So in combination with the fender piles, they are protecting the waterfront. Classification based on method of installation. The first one is board piles. They are constructed in pre-bored holes, either using a casing or a bentonite slurry. So they are used either when we bore a hole and we use a casing, and then we push a concrete of existing high strength concrete into the casing. That is one way. Other way is the using the bentonite slurry. So the borehole is filled with concrete after placing or lowering reinforcement. So after the borehole is made, the reinforcement is placed into the casing in case the casing is used. So that will be, they are called as bored piles. So the main advantage is that they no damage is there. The reason being because it is a kind of cast in situ pile. And the different types of board piles are small diameter piles, which are 600 mm. Larger diameter piles are categorized as those which are greater than 600 mm. Under-reamed piles generally vary from because under-reamed piles are also coming into the category of cast in situ piles. So they are varying from 300 to 450 mm. Now, driven piles, as we know it, they are actually drilled using hammer. They can be of concrete, timber, and steel. They are driven into the soil strata by the impact of a hammer that we know. Generally, boring is not used in these cases when pile is driven into granular soils, it densifies the soil and increases the stiffness. So actually, they are having skin friction resistance also, and as they are being driven, that means they are quite mm, having quite high resistance from the soil, and that is why they will make the soil lying on the side of there as we are using it in the pile group. अगर आप pile group में यूज करते हो सारी piles आपकी driven piles हैं तो they again increase the stiffness of the soil in between. So automatically if you are trying to place a foundation system, let us say mat raft foundation supported on a piles, so the soil reaction of the raft is also going to be higher as compared to if it is being placed without the driven piles. Driven and cast in place piles. These piles are found by driving a tube. So it is a combination where not they are simply being driven into the soil strata straight away by the hammering of the cross section. A tube is being placed before the driving process. So this particular tube, it can be with a closed end or it cannot be with a closed end. So both the options are possible. It is possible that agar closed end hai, so it is difficult to bring it back to the surface. उसको वहां से remove करना मुश्किल है. But अगर उसका open end है, there is a system that we can open the end later on. So we can drag it outside up to the ground surface later on. So these both the options are possible. And the reason being, filling the tube with freshly prepared concrete. Now, after putting the freshly prepared concrete, as I just told you, that removing the tube is possible and it cannot be possible depending upon how you have made an arrangement at the tip of the pile. They have got their own purposes. So these are the cast in situ piles. This is a driven pile, a timber pile, straight board pile. This is a tapered one. The reason being this tube can reduce the skin friction also. So later on, अगर आप इसको remove कर दो, there can be several merits and demerits also, both of keeping the tube into this soil strata and removing the tube later on from the soil strata. That we will see later now how it can be done. It is a little bit clear from the transfer mechanism also. So now we will see the load transfer mechanism. This is very important from understanding point of view also and from examination point of view also. To understand the mechanism of distribution of the applied load into skin resistance along the length of the pile and base resistance at tip of the pile. These are the two things which are going to combinedly constitute the total bearing capacity of the pile. Which are those two things? Bearing capacity of the pile at the tip of the pile and the skin friction resistance of the pile along the length of the pile. So skin friction will totally be applied and dominant and calculated throughout the length. अगर 9 मीटर की पाइल है तो पूरे 9 मीटर में हम स्किन फ्रिक्शन एज्यूम करके चलते हैं कि हम जब कैलकुलेशन करते हैं तो पूरी लेंथ लेते हैं. ऑल्दो अगर हम टॉप ग्राउंड सरफेस पे देखें, ग्राउंड सरफेस के क्लोज जो स्टार्टिंग के कुछ सेंटीमीटर्स या मीटर्स हैं, they are not that much dominant in skin friction resistance of the pile. But it is like that only, that the total skin friction resistance is calculated based upon the total length of the pile. So now here you can see into this particular figure, I will use the other figure for this. Now here you can see it is divided into 4 steps. I will read it out from here. When an initial load Q1 is applied on top of the pile, initial load Q1 is applied on top of the pile. Here you can see it is the axial load at top of the pile will be Q1. That is the axial load. जो हैमर का लोड है या आपका जो let us say सुपरस्ट्रक्चर से लोड आ रहा है, when it is applied onto the pile, it will be Q1, and at a distance L1 from the top, this load diminishes to 0. So this particular load जब आपका एक हैमर अप्लाई होगा तो एक लिमिट तक जाएगा. This load is not dominant beyond a length L1. Then what happens? This is the load Q1 applied on the pile is resisted by the skin friction alone. So this particular Q1 is when we try to bring the things in equilibrium. So we are trying to say that this is adjusted from the skin friction very well. Whatever load Q1 is there, it is very well balanced by skin friction resistance up to a length L1. That corresponds to curve 1. This is curve 1. Then what is the next step into the load carrying capacity of the pile is when the load is increased to Q2. The load Q2 is resisted by the skin friction along the entire pile as shown by curve 2. Now this total length has come into picture. Initially it was only L1. Now when the load is increased, this is actually when you are deriving the pile and how the pile is able to generate its own bearing capacity throughout the process. That is its explanation. Then when you have driven the pile hole, the Q1 plus Q2 is resisted by the skin friction resistance of the pile for the whole length. Then comes step number 3, which says when the load exceeds Q2, part of this load is transferred to the soil at the base of the pile. That means a part of Q1 plus Q2 is transferred to the tip of the pile as compressive force, and remaining the load is transferred by skin friction as shown in curve 3. Now it becomes a combination of point bearing plus skin friction. So slowly what happened, that when the load has increased beyond Q2, so whatever is above Q2 has been transferred as a point bearing capacity. And any other further increase in the load will only increase the compressive load at the pile tip. So इसके beyond जो भी load increase होगा, the last one, that will only be taken as a point bearing load by the tip of the pile, and it has got huge capacity. So now we will move from here to here. If I draw an arrow, when the load is increased further, the compressive load at the pile tip also reaches that, and the third point was corresponding to the third curve, reaches its ultimate value QP, that is point bearing. एक लिमिट होगी उसकी भी जब वो पॉइंट बियरिंग तक पहुंचेगा जो कंप्रेसिव लोड है, Q1, then Q1 plus Q2, then beyond Q1 plus Q2, let's say Q3. Q3 जो लोड है वो सारा पॉइंट बियरिंग पे जा रहा है. उसके बाद अगर आप Q3 के बियॉन्ड इसको एक्सीड करते हो, let us say the load is going to Q4 level, so that will give the ultimate bearing capacity of the pile in point bearing. That means at the pile tip, अगर उसके beyond exceed करता है तो that will be the failure of the pile, and the pile will fail by punching shear beyond this particular load. That is why the ultimate bearing capacity of the pile QU is going to be given as point bearing plus skin resistance friction. Point bearing plus skin friction. QU is equal to point bearing plus skin friction. Ultimate load of the pile bearing capacity is point bearing resistance, that is the force at the tip of the pile, upward skin friction resistance along the pile. In all our formulas subsequent to it, this is the concept which is required to be kept in mind. अगर वो pile skin friction resistance नहीं ले रही है, then the scenario is different. तब सिर्फ point bearing ही उसकी bearing capacity होगी. But it is dependent upon the type of soil. हर एक soil के अंदर skin friction resistance जरूर होता है. Thank you class. I am ending the class here. I hope there is no doubt.